Hey everybody, Tim here with tonight's episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 7, Episode 10, Inheritance. So this is an interesting episode, and it's kind of a fun episode, a little bittersweet going on. So what was it, like 4 episodes ago? I didn't write down the title. It's the one where Data starts having the nightmares, and he creates in the holodeck, the Sigmund Freud holodeck therapist. And he's like, oh, the knife is about your mother. And Data's like, well, I don't have a mother. Well, guess what? In this episode, we meet Dr. Julian Tanner Sung, Dr. Sung's wife. So, therefore, she would be considered Data's mother. And it's interesting. She's played by the amazing, I'm about to butcher this name, so I'm sorry to anybody Irish watching this, Fionnuala Flanagan? Fionnuala, whatever. Anyways, she's a great actress. She's amazing. She was in, The Others. She was in Four Brothers, like the Mark Hamill or Mark Wahlberg movie. And then, of course, she was in The Divine Secrets of the Ya-Ya Sisterhood. I mean, for most of the gay geeks in this group. So she's a great actress. She's amazing. And she's even great in this. So the whole episode kind of just revolves around her being motherly and talking to Data about, she didn't want Data to go with them when they escaped from the crystalline entity and all this other stuff. And it's interesting because she brings up some stuff like there were 3 androids before Lore, which would make Data the 4th. Now, it's safe to presume that B4 was before Lore. I didn't make these puns up. I'm sorry. You guys have to put up with it. But I felt like that was just a seed. So that way, because they had to have known that The Next Generation was ending in 12 episodes from now. So I felt like that was a little seed that they could be like, you know what? We could always have Brent Spiner come back and we could do more androids. Because Lore's dead at this point. So now we have 3 additional androids other than Data. And it's kind of an interesting way. So as they're carrying on, she's just telling Data all about his childhood, how he loved to run around naked, so they had to create a modest subroutine, stuff like that. So they go down to the planet, and they're doing stuff because they're trying to save this planet by, remelting the core. And she gets hurt, Dr. Juliana gets hurt, and shock, it turns out that she is an android. So now we got 3 androids, we got Lore, we got Data, and now it turns out that Juliana is an android. So how many androids Sung made, nobody knows. It's a guessing game. So it's interesting. So there's a little Data chip in the back of her brain, and Data plugs it in the holodeck, and Sung pops up, which now this is, I think, the 3rd time that Brent Spiner has played Sung, because we saw him old when he died, we saw him in the dream sequence, and now we've seen him here. And he's always different ages, so it's kind of weird. He's aging backwards. And to me, that was a little bit reminiscent of Harry Mudd from the original series. I don't know if that's what they were aiming for, where if you guys remember in the second Mudd appearance, he had created an android of his wife. So it turns out that when the crystalline entity had attacked, Dr. Juliana was injured and ended up dying. So Sung made an android version of her to basically keep him company. And this blows Dr. Crusher's mind because she's like, she has tear ducts and she has sweat glands and she has this and she has that. And it's like, okay, so you're just trying to make it more complicated because Data will never be human, but this lady gets everything he's ever wanted. I gotcha. Moving on. So it's kind of, and then at one point Geordi's scanning her, and it's kind of funny because he's like, she even ages just like Data does, which is kind of a throwaway line. The series has been on the air for 7 years now. Brent Spiner has clearly aged a little bit in that 7 years, so it's just we purposely make him look older now. And when he says this, so Geordi's looking at Dr. Juliana, and Data's kind of standing back, and right kind of behind him, next to him, Jonathan Frakes, Riker, is standing there, and Data's she ages just like Data, and Riker just looks at Data, and he just kind of looks him up and down he never noticed Data's been aging this whole time in the last 7 years. So I don't know, I thought it was kind of funny. I don't know if Jonathan Frakes was supposed to do that, or if that was just him improving, but it was funny. It was kind of a funny moment. So anyways, Dr. Sung is talking to Data, and he says, like, she never knew, she never found out. After the original died and I made this android, she woke up and smiled because she knew who I was. So she instantly, like, acclimated. And he's like, so, and I programmed her to shut down if something ever happened, which in this case, her arm falls off. And he's like, so I would rather you not tell her, but I'll leave it up to you. And so Data's talking to Picard and Crusher and Troy, and he's like, you know, if I tell her, I will no longer be like the only sentient android in the galaxy. I will no longer be unique. So, and that's something he wants. He wants somebody to confide in. But he's like, is it unfair to take that decision away from her? And Crusher says, like, if anybody was going to tell me, hey, you're not real, you're actually an android, I'd rather it be my son than some random stranger. In the end, he puts the little chip back in her head, she wakes up, and he's like, you broke your arm, you're back to normal, you're good, bye-bye. And he doesn't tell her. He lets her keep that, which I accidentally skipped that because my notes are all not in order. One of the pieces I love about this episode is she's going through Data's things to kind of get to know him, and she pulls out a picture of Lal, and he says, like, oh, that's my daughter, so that would be your granddaughter. I love that. She was in one episode, and it was like, I don't even remember, 3 seasons ago, and they actually brought Lal back and that little reference, and it was really touching. And I mean, Lul's episode was so heartbreaking, and when Juliana finds out that she was a grandmother, and then Lul died the same day, like, you can kind of get a little bit of that heartbreak. Overall, I think this episode's great. I'm not going to try to say her first name again. Thanks to Miss Flanagan. Her acting is superb. Brett Spiner's acting is superb. Overall, I think this was an interesting episode, and I like to see Data's family kind of grow, because, let's be honest, between Sung and Lore, he has a fucked up family. And it's nice to actually see his mom, and she's actually fairly normal and kind of fun and Irish. So for those who have seen this one, what do you guys think about the Sungs? We no longer see Dr. Sung. We never see her again, and Lore's dead. We do see Brett Spiner play a Sung ancestor when we get to Enterprise, but that's a long time from now. So go ahead, let me know in the comments below what you think about Data's family in general, because arguably he has the largest family in this series, probably second only to Worf. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for watching these videos. Thank you guys for subscribing to my YouTube. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you guys next time for Parallels.